So here's the thing. Talking to Christy, I found out that apparently Christy's mom, Sharon, also had a similar experience, and she did the same thing at work. Sharon, do you mind sharing real quick? That's what today is about. We're going to give you 3 action steps, if you don't mind coming up. We're going to give you 3 action steps moving forward about what to do from this point forward. And even if you're brand new today, you're still going to understand what we're doing. Okay, and I'm going to give you another cheat sheet that will go home with you so we can fill up a little bit more of that wall. But yeah, no, you can totally hold this, and I'm going to turn it on for you. So tell us just real quickly about what you did.
I had everybody at work do the same thing, and it's crazy that I had most of them figured out at this point because it's clashing. But it has helped. We do understand. We do call each other out for whatever. And even at home, same with Christy. Christy's opposite of me. She's blue and green. I'm green and blue. And when she goes off to her room and I'm thinking, okay, what did I do? Because the blue in me's showing. What have I done to make her mad? I realize she needs the space just like I do.
That's great.
But on the other hand, I've got a red blue in my house too, and that's been very enlightening, to say the least. So at least I can...
Reds are great.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's been difficult. I just hope that her being as young as she is, that she will learn to use her weaknesses and her strengths in the proper way. So we're still working with that. But with work, if you can do it, I work in a smaller office, whatever, just do it. I mean, it's become a topic of conversation, and it's helped me to understand my children and the one person at work that I just want to punch.
In Jesus' name.
Right. Has helped me to just be my peacemaker, whatever, and just try to, I'm a no stressor, no conflict. I even hear conflict, I scoot. I'm gone. I can't, I don't even like to hear other people in conflict. It makes me very, very distressed, and I hate that. But on the other hand, I'm blue and like the tasks, and I like to get stuff done, but I can have a task and a list, but I'll do it tomorrow. So, and then, I understand. When I hear Cole and I hear you talk, it's just ringing, yeah. But when I hear you talk, my daughter talk, or the yellow people talk, I don't get it. But encourage people to take the test, because it really, really, really has helped me tremendously, especially with my kids. So.
That difficult person that you're talking about, are they by chance red?
They're red and blue. So red,
which is exactly what I am.
Yes, and it's that.
And yet we get along so well.
I know, but that
but
stresses
we don't work
me
together.
out too, because she's red and blue, and I'm like going. So I gotta, especially when I hear her and her dad speaking on the phone, I gotta leave the room because I can hear both sides of the conversation. Yeah. And I go and do something because I can't handle the conflict. Right. So, but Christy Lifka, she's my encouragement. I gave birth to her, but she encourages me every day because she is so wise for her age. And when she told me that she did that, I'm like, you go, girl, to preach Jesus in the middle of all that too. So
that's awesome.
They know. So
that's fantastic.
Anyways,
awesome.
I will definitely continue with it.
That's awesome.
So, all right.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you, Sharon. So I love when Christy had said to me, that they yell across, she can hear guys yelling, "Your red is showing," and all of that. I love that because we're able to identify, and it's not as difficult once you're able to see them. That's what the creator of all of this said, is that you can't unhear and unknow the signs and the clues. Now you start to recognize these things.
Hey, as a matter of fact, let me speak to this quickly. In this series, in the 6-week series, I got 2 words that spoke out loud to me. And the words I want to share with you is revelation and inspiration. Because the revelation I got was, this is why I do what I do. I didn't know why I did what I did. And I look back in some of the conversations with the Greens, we all laugh that we make a list. We never follow through with that list. And we make a list, and then when we make that list, even if we don't do anything, we feel like we've accomplished something.
And they go sit down.
Because we made a list, right? And just writing that out, man, dude, I feel like a rock star just by making that list. I felt like I've accomplished, and you know what? My day's over because I did it. However, on the flip side, there was also inspiration And the funny thing is, in the men's group on Wednesday night, Band of Brothers, during the series, we all sat around and laughed and joked about what we do, our colors and everything else. But then all of a sudden, there's another word that I got. It was inspiration. Mm-hmm. It inspired. How many know that inspiration brings change? Mm-hmm. Right? When you're inspired, change takes place. However, watch this. I can't fix something if I don't know it's broken.
Can take place.
Are you hearing me? I can't fix something if I don't know it's broken. So last night, or I should say this morning, until about 3:45, almost 4 o'clock, I had a revelation and inspiration. And it all had to do with something I didn't know I was doing. Because, and look, and choose not to be offended by what I'm about to say. When I hear the word manipulation, I thought it was a girl word. I didn't think dudes manipulated.
I feel like I need to break down the girl word.
Hold on. I didn't think dudes manipulate. I thought that's a girl word, right? That's just me. Come on, don't get mad at me. That's just me. And then all of a sudden, receiving inspiration from the Lord, I realized, once again, I can't fix something if I don't know it's broken, right? So I realized that I can't stop manipulating if I don't know that I'm manipulating in the first place. And last night, I realized, as she kindly pointed out to me, that me procrastinating and me being stubborn is a form of manipulation for greens. And guess what I do? When I don't want to do something, I drag my feet. I put the pro in procrastination. Can I get a witness, somebody? And then I get super stubborn that you will not make me do it no matter how hard you try. And guess what? I argued with her. I said, that's not manipulation.
That's my
until
weakness.
We went back and she showed me what I just preached on.
Thankfully, we were sitting at our computer and we had all of the slides right in front of me.
So literally, I realized that Pastor is a manipulator. But I'm not a chick. Can I get a witness, somebody? Manipulation.
Come on,
Thank
Stacy.
you. Thank you.
Good.
Stacy, you're red, right? 100% red. And so here's the thing, guys. It's inspiration because I'm inspired now because I know what I do. And now, how many know the Bible says if you know what to do and you don't do it, it's sin? Uh-oh. So I've got some work to do. This series has helped me realize and recognize that I've got some issues I need to change in order to better communicate. I just told myself. There you go.
That's really good. That's really good. And I so appreciate that because the conversation arose from me going to my manipulation technique, which is tone and volume. And he reminded me how much he despises being talked down to and how much he despises being yelled at, which it really wasn't a yell. It was an elevated tone, but it was not a yell because I don't yell in that way anymore. I truly don't. Unless we're in actual, like a knockdown, drag out fight. And that it takes something to make that happen. At that point, we're probably both pretty heated. So it was just literally an elevated tone. And so it wasn't a yell. And I said, I just need you to understand that you can hear my manipulation technique louder, but that doesn't mean that you've not been manipulating me for the last 2 hours. And in fact, the last 2 days when you were supposed to have done this, but you chose not to in complete stubbornness because you decided that you will not, because you just refused.
I made a list.
And he said,
honestly.
And he said, but that's my weakness. That's not my, and I said, oh, contraire, I have a slide. And I pulled up the slide, and there it was. And he goes, holy cow, I didn't know that was my manipulation technique. So
it's bad when you get called out, and you know you're not wrong, but then you are wrong. It makes it even worse, right?
So it was an interesting thing because my manipulation was coming because his manipulation had already taken place 3 days ago. Mine just shows up and everybody can know it because reds are loud in doing so. So it was just an interesting conversation. So here's the thing. This whole series for him has been revelation and inspiration, and this is awesome. And I was there, guys, with it for like the first 4 weeks. And then at 5 weeks, I went from revelation and inspiration, this is awesome, to frustration. And this is why. Because of statements like, your red is showing, your green is showing, because this has got to be way more than diagnosis. This has to be way more than high fives around a table going, I know, I'm green, I'm a lazy butt. Isn't that funny? It has to be more than, I'm just red, this is how I am. It's got to be more than diagnosis. And Anthony is right, Pastor's right, that inspiration brings change, but it doesn't. And you say, but you just said he's right. No, he's partially right. Inspiration can bring change. But when I'm feeling inspired to work out, it doesn't make me lose weight. I have to actually get my butt off the couch with my inspiration and actually go work out in order to lose the weight. So inspiration doesn't bring the change. We have to be inspired and then actually put action behind that. Right. So this is a phenomenal thing, and we can be inspired all day long, and this can be revelation all day long, but unless we take it and we take the motivation to change, there's another Asian word, there's my Asian word. If we take the frustration of, wow, I've been like this for a long time, and my relationships have been sucking wind for a long time, I now want to take that motivation and change, then this stuff works. Mm-hmm. Amen. And if not, then we just had a good series, and I guess we can high five over that, but why would we want to do that? When there's phenomenal stuff that we can take, that we've had aha moments of, and we can keep moving. And we can keep moving forward and say, okay, so now that we're diagnosing each other, instead of just diagnosing each other, what if we do, and we're going to pass this out right here and now, what we're handing out to you is literally a cheat sheet that says, when you're talking to this type of person, say this and don't say that. Right. Guys, I don't know how much more plain this person could have possibly put this stuff together for us.
There's the revelation right there.
Oh, praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. So we're going to hand this out to us, and this is going to be great. Now, there's a couple things. We're going to give you 3 points, and then we're going to go around, and we're going to give you an opportunity to share. Thank you, Kirk, very much. We're going to give you an opportunity to share some of the aha moments, because some of you have some really defining aha moments for you that are going to set light bulbs off in other people's minds today. And so here's the really cool thing. We're going to give this out to you, and we're going to go through some things, and it's going to give us an opportunity, rather than high-fiving over our weaknesses, or high-fiving over the ways that we are the way we are. We're going to recognize that the number one thing we've got to do is that we have got to become stronger in ourselves first, because it's like putting our own oxygen mask on first, because the whole goal of this is so that we can help other people, right? So Pastor's going to go through, we're going to do 3 quick points. And this is it. This is our action plan moving forward. okay? And it's SWB, okay? This is what we're doing. 3 steps. Ready? Go.
Number one, guys, you got to stay in your strength. Think about that. You got to stay in your strength. I love what you said a second ago. It's equivalent to you being on the airplane, all of a sudden the stewardess comes over the intercom and says, if there's any kind of emergency, put your oxygen mask on first. Look, you can't help everybody if you're struggling yourself. Would you agree with that? That's exactly what they're talking about. The same thing we're telling you this morning. You must stay in your strength to strengthen other people. The only way that we can build others up with our words if we build ourselves up first. We've got to strengthen others, but before we can do that, we must strengthen ourselves. Now watch this. God has uniquely wired us. Would you agree with it today? As a matter of fact, He created us perfectly with a set of strengths. And what we've got to do today is we cannot be afraid, nor can we be ashamed of them. We need to own them confidently. Can I get a witness, somebody? Listen to me, guys. We are our best version of ourselves when you and I walk in the divine strength that God has given us. That's when we are at our best, is when we walk in our strengths, not our weaknesses.
So what we've given you is this. It's called, the first page is called strength training. And so staying in your strength is going to be what we've got to actually practice, okay? It's what we've got to practice. It's basically taking our weaknesses. It's understanding where our weaknesses are. It's moving out of our weaknesses and staying in our strengths. So Cole, I know that you're in here. Take a look at your melancholic. Barrett's in here, right? Yeah. Barrett, look at the sanguine strengths if you don't mind. I'm going to go through real quickly, and I just want to just look at those. Pick out 2 that you know that you need to work on, okay? And then I'm going to come back and put a mic in your face real quickly. Cleric strength training. Okay, here's a couple things that I know as a cleric that I need to work on and make a strength. I know this. Pausing for a deep breath when you feel yourself getting angry or loud. That's called practicing the pause. That's called practicing the pause. How many of you Reds need to practice your pause? Yeah, look at the hands. It's practicing a pause. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And not while you're counting, picturing punching them in the throat. Right? Yeah. Practicing the pause. That's strength training. I'm going to get better at that. I'm going to get better at practicing the pause. I've already been moderating my tone and my volume for many, many years. I have been. Why? Because I live in front of a preserve. And when I scream and yell, it echoes off the trees behind my house. And my neighbors think I'm flippin' crazy. Okay? Seriously. How do I know? A neighbor told me. You yell a lot. So you know what I said? Oh, I live in a 2-story house. You got to yell a lot for the person in the other level. I've been moderating my tone and volume for a very long time. And because I live with a green who wants calm and harmony constantly, and who constantly looks at me and says, I can't listen to you when you're yelling at me. If you lower your voice and you'll talk to me, I'll hear you. So I've been doing this for 23 years. It's been wonderful strength training. Greeting others with a sincere smile and giving them my full attention. Because I'm all about the task, sometimes people are my task. And because of my issues from the past, oftentimes I'll walk into a room and I don't make eye contact with people because I know myself and I know that because I struggle with rejection issues, I don't know if I'm walking into a room of people that decided today they hate me when yesterday they liked me, because that happened all my life. So I've had to work past that. So oftentimes I wait to find out if they're okay with me before I'll look at them and say hi. And so that's also been a 40-year battle, 35-year-old battle. But again, I'm way better than that, at that now than I was then when I was a teenager. So those are strength training things. We all have to have something that we're working through. Barrett, what are 2 things that you need to work on here as a yellow? Oh, sorry, wait, real quick, Barrett, because we're filming, or we got this, we're recording this. Sorry about that. Sorry. He's a yellow. We're looking at sanguine for those of you.
Forgive my shirt. My wife wore my color. The first one would be remembering my obligations and establishing organizational skills. My organizational life depends on my wife. She's a red, so she's organized, and I do what she says. I'm also a green, so it keeps her happy, and there's peace in the home. I like that.
Nice.
The second one would be thinking before volunteering and committing. I am the king of just saying yes. If you ask me, I feel like I'm a part of it, and we're going to do it, even if that leaves my wife stranded with 3 kids and plans that I forgot about.
Aww.
So
that's awesome.
that's something I really have to work on. And I'm just going to throw this last one in there, adulting. I'm terrible at it. I'm just a kid at heart, so it's something new I'm learning.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. So Kaylee pays us on the side to continue this series. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, you're helping me. So I love that you said adulting because, I don't need this, because, thank you for that, because when I looked at these, I was like, hey, see if we can call on Barrett, because I think he'll probably say adulting, which is great. And I love that because Anthony told me that you guys had that conversation about adulting, about how everything is fun for you. And being married to a red, I'm red, and he's, again, almost half yellow. So we'll go to Walmart with the kids when we were younger, and we're getting in there, and we're trying to just accomplish stuff, get stuff, help me. If you'll help me, we'll get out of here faster. Everyone hates Walmart, right? So, just get me out of this place. And what's he doing? Him and the kids are messing around and playing and like throwing things. And by the end of Walmart, we are in a complete fight. I look like a total wench to anyone watching, which I hate because I'm not a wench. You've just made me look like one. Do you know what I'm saying? And then that makes me feel so horrible about myself because everybody just thinks that I'm mean, and I'm not mean. You just made me look mean because you weren't helping me. You were being a child. Do you know what I'm saying? Look, I'm getting totally razzed up right now. Right? What's that? Count to 10. Right. He's like, do you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, do you have those same conversations? We are y'all, right? And you attract who you are. So welcome to Restore. Thank you for joining us. And so that's the thing. So and so those are the conversations that we had. If you would just help me, this stuff I'm buying, you will eat 10 times more than I will. What? See, I have the microphone. Yeah.
In all reality, as a green and yellow, my thought is I'm helping her by entertaining the kids.
Yeah, as they're throwing balls at me, over me, putting stuff in the cart that, okay, anyways, yeah. So I'm with you.
Buggy, not cart. Anyway.
Kaylee, I'm praying for you, sister. I love you. Okay. Melancholic. Cole, will you do blue real quickly? What are 2 of the things that you know that you will do on that list? Well, you have to do this. Okay. I guess not. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the thing is forgiving others and releasing grudges. That is a huge one for me. I feel like if you messed me over once, you're going to mess me over again, and I will hold that against you forever. It doesn't matter if you hurt me. If you hurt someone I love, then you're dead to me altogether, and I really got to let that go. Another thing is turning in, moving on from projects when they are good enough instead of trying to make them perfect. I feel like if I do one little mistake, it ruined the entire project. And I got to realize that it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to learn from your mistakes instead of letting them get the best of you. And I literally could be working for 25 hours a day, like for to say, and still think that I didn't do enough because I made a mistake. And I got to move on from that and know that you got to learn from your mistakes, and it's just all part of a grading curve.
Yep, absolutely. That's great. So that was melancholic. That was blue. That was blue. Do you want to share green? Right here. There, right here.
I actually laughed at this because being green and actually yellow, it's funny because green, I had it now, I've lost it. Green is hard to, we're hard to start things. And as I said a minute ago, just writing a list, in my mind, I think it's accomplished. But then the yellow in me is, not only do I not want to start it, I don't want to finish it. So, green and yellows need prayer. Can I get a witness, somebody? Right? And that's my major battle, because I told her, I said, there isn't literally, I don't know if any other green feels this way, but there is an internal battle in my mind every day that I don't have enough time in my day to get things done. I don't care if it's going to the bank and getting a haircut, because those two tasks to me seem insurmountable. There seems like there's not enough time in the day to do those two things. And I will put it off and procrastinate and everything else you can think of. And before you know it, I sabotage it, and I take all the time in the world to not get those two things done. And I am tortured if I'm not careful. But yet when I do something immediately and follow through, man, I feel like a rock star. But there's so many times that I don't do anything because I think, you know what, I'll do it later. Because later is always better than right now in my mind. But literally what it is I find myself struggling because of that.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, guys, work on your weaknesses. So the first one is stay in your strengths. So all of us look at that strength training, pick a couple things, and work on your strengths. Stay in your strengths. First one, stay in your strengths. Second one, work on your weaknesses. I love this quote directly from the workbook. Let's take a look at it. It says this: your temperament is not a weapon. It's not an excuse. Yes, it's innate. It's unchangeable, but it's not an excuse for your weaknesses. And it's not permission to manipulate. Now that we know better, we have the opportunity to do better. I love that. Number 3, be a builder. Be a builder.
Guys, the creator of this series says a common pushback, watch this, is that people often say that this all sounds too nice and too gentle. Mm-hmm. That we can't just zip our lips and lie so we don't hurt anyone else's feelings. But watch this. Let's rewind and go back and look at Ephesians 4:29 one more time, and let's dissect this verse quickly. Ephesians 4:29 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. Watch this. But only what is what? Helpful for building others up according to what? Their needs. Because we all have needs, right? That it may benefit those who listen. Now I want you to notice something real quick. The Bible says that it should be helpful for building others up. It didn't say it should be nice. Come on, and as a green, I wrestle with this because I hate conflict. I don't want to say anything that corrects somebody because I feel like I'm going to hurt their feelings, right? Come on, greens. So, and I realize that it doesn't have to be nice, but it has to be necessary for them to grow. Are you hearing me, guys? Mm-hmm. So I realize that it might not be nice, but it is needed. So it has to be said, amen? And see, for some of us, being helpful means that we need to back off a little bit because we're too harsh, right? But at the other time, on the other hand, rather, for some of us, it means stepping up, and it means speaking out. See, this was and still is, if I can be honest, a major mountain for me to climb. Once again, I hate confrontation. I don't want to ever say anything because I'm scared. And listen, I've even been tricked and deceived by the enemy to make me think that, well, if I say something to them, I might push them away. But if it's necessary and if it's something they need, then instead of pushing them away, if anything, they're going to draw closer. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I think we all need to do. Can you say amen?
Mm-hmm. I've always told them, and I want to encourage the Greens for just a second, because Greens are so aware and I don't want to use the word afraid, but cognizant of that desire to not offend somebody. I always tell him, honey, when you correct somebody, you couldn't hurt their feelings if you tried. You know? So if you're green and that is your fear, so to speak, it shouldn't be. It's just the enemy. Because in all honesty, you couldn't hurt their feelings if you tried. Because you are being so aware of their feelings while you're doing it, that it comes off so caring, that it is so helpful. And when backed with the word, as everything should be, the Holy Spirit kicks in, and that's where change takes place. Amen. So it's a great thing. We've given you a build-up guide. The second thing that you have in your hand right there is a build-up guide. And this literally for each and every one, there's a page for each one. It says how to build them up, and then caution, how you may tear them down. We're not going to go through all of these. I sat on the couch last night with Cole and Jordan and Julian, and we went through them. And Julian and Cole are actually exactly the same. Funny how Jordan would spend so much time with her brother. Just kidding. Choosing someone to hang out with that is exactly the same temperament as her brother. So Julian and Cole are both blue and then red. Jordan is yellow and red. And so we went through them. Build them up. How do you build somebody up? How do you tear them down? Guys, these are great. And let me tell you something. Keep this as a cheat sheet. Get to know who's in your home. And see if you've been saying some things that may be tearing them down. It was very enlightening to me, the huge revelation over this past weekend about some things that I do. Cole is super easy. Cole and I, we're the same person. It's like I spit him out of my mouth. Jordan, on the other hand, not so much. And huge revelation that I'll share with you in just a moment about her. But it's really enlightening when you read this and you recognize that the bottom portion that says, caution, you may tear them down by saying this. It's enlightening when you realize that almost everything on the bottom part of this page you've been doing to someone you love. Enlightening maybe is not a disheartening, saddening, and it's not intentional, which is why this series is so important, because none of this is ever intentional. We've been saying throughout the entire series that words are free, but they cost us so much. And so it's important that we really are mindful of the words that we use and that we choose. And so get really good at this. Know the people in your home, know the people that you work with, know the people around you. Know what their needs are so that when you're speaking, you're not inadvertently taking something from them and having words land in ways that are affecting them in very deep ways. So here's what we're going to do. You have a page for each one, how to build them up, how to tear them down, and so that we don't do the latter. And we're going to open the floor real quickly and just give us an opportunity to hear from you. We're just going to skip through if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay? Let's do this. We're going to give you an opportunity. We want to hear from you right now. What are some of the ways that you've had an aha moment through this stuff, through this material? Was there a section? Was it the need section? Was it the manipulation section, like Pastor just shared? what were some of the things that were your aha moments? If you want to just stand up and say, this really changed my family because, those are great. Feedback is great. But what I'd really like to hear from you, in addition to that, if you could, are the places where the light bulb went off for you, because here's why. If you share a light bulb moment, an aha moment, a puzzle piece that came and fit perfectly for you that made it all work, and you went, it might actually connect a dot for somebody else in the room. So if you have one of those and you want to stand and share what that was, that would be phenomenal. Does anybody have one of those?
And I'll pass the mic to you. Just don't all stand up
And we
at
won't
once.
take a lot of time, but I know that some of you really have something where you say, you know what? I went into this thinking it was going to help this, but it really ended up helping this, and let me tell you how. Anybody?
Stacey.
Well, I own a business, so, and I'm red, flaming red. And so I know for me, it's been a struggle when I have employees and I expect them to operate exactly how I operate, because it's my business and I want you to run it like I run it. And I've learned that's not going to happen. And one thing that really it's on here, I actually realized this a couple of weeks ago when I was here, giving others complete ownership over the method and time frame of completing tasks. So in my warehouse, I work mostly out of my warehouse. I'll have a list and say, do this and do this and do this and do this. And then I find myself hovering over them while they're doing it. Trying to, micromanaging, yes. And I hate to be micromanaged. So when I micromanage, I'm thinking, you reap what you sow, sister. So for me, I've had to, especially now that my daughter, who is just like coal, works with me 2 days a week, and I give her the task, and I literally have to go in the bathroom and or go get lunch or something, because I want to find myself hovering, and then it makes her feel like all the things on here, like I'm not doing a good enough job, and then she starts shutting down. Yeah, so the first week it was like that, and then after that, it's been a breeze working with her now, because I'll let her do it, and then I'll come by and look, and I'll be like, God, you're doing a great job, and now she's super psyched about working with me, which she worked with me a couple of years ago, and then didn't want to work with me, and I couldn't realize why she didn't want to work with me. I think I'm pretty great to work with, and now I know. So I've been able to put a lot. I mean, I haven't been here for most of the series, but the notes that I took home, I really read, and I was like, okay, I've got to apply this to, and I knew that was Malaya, was like Cole. Personally, I can deal with her like that. She needs her time, she needs her space and stuff like that. But at work, I wasn't treating it like I should have. So I did, and now we're getting along great, and she's making beautiful furniture. So.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. That's the whole goal of this, is that when, and you don't have to know somebody for long. If you'll just find out what they are, and the cheat sheets give you a clue of what they are, then their innate needs tell you what they need, and then you just meet that need. Go ahead.
I don't know how to say this, but my revelation came in dealing with Pastor Jennifer. When I first came to this church, I'm a very talented person. I think God has given me a lot of talent that I try to use for the benefit of people around me. And I just thought that I was getting into her space. It seems like, I know she's very decisive, and she knew exactly what she wants and how she wants it done. And I wasn't sure I was going to be getting in her space, so I would kind of stand back, and I would suggest certain things, but I would never come to her and say, Pastor Jennifer, I think we ought to do this, or do that. I thought I was a bit forward talking to her like that. So what I would do, I try to say certain things that I need to be done. Like, for an example, those things hanging up there, we finally got to a point when now she talks to me, and I realize she's not all that bad like I thought she was. Because I start to look at what I have learned here with this series, And I realize now what I need to do is say things that she needs to hear, and sometimes say things that I need to hear. And so we have come together. Now we can talk on the phone late at night. And now I'm able to come to her and say, I think we need to do this, we need to do that. So I just want to share that with you, that I have seen a different person since I've been here working with Pastor Jennifer. Thank you for your redness.
I love you, Uncle Sil. You know, Reds, I said it several times, we get a bum rap because when there's lots of things to manage, sometimes we look like we're unapproachable. The fact that I'm a blue, though, does, and I have to work on that, you know, I have to work on the unapproachable thing. It was actually Jen Markham during a Christmas thing, and she's not here today, but it was during a Christmas thing that apparently she was reading my face the way that people were doing the multiple Christmas trees, and that she had said to me the next year, like, she stopped showing up to help with, you know, decorating. And I said, girl, you don't come anymore to help us with certain things. And she goes, oh, honey, she goes, there's too many chiefs in this church. She said, you don't need me. And she is full red. And so is JR. So it's, I'm red, JR, her husband's red, and then Jen's red. And so she recognized that you don't need me. Like, I could tell by your facial expression that, you know, that you like it your way. And so that broke my heart, because we need the help. And if I'm running people off because I don't recognize my tone, my volume, how I come off, then I need to start working on me. Which is why this is so important for us, guys, because we've got people we're running off in our lives. We've got people that your own daughter, that I'm great to work with. Why does my own daughter not want to work with me? And I've got a story about Jordan just coming up in a few minutes. That to think that the enemy's getting in there by something so, and it's not like the enemy's tactics, it's our own not knowing. And that's why the Bible's so great, where it says, if you know, then do now. So let's use this stuff. But what makes it difficult is this. So I started, just to let you know, from that comment alone of what Jennifer said, I ask anybody that works close to church, I learned the next Christmas how to bite my lip and go, that tree looks amazing, and walk away. And go in the bathroom and think, oh my gosh, my OCD wants to fix that so bad, but I couldn't, because it didn't matter. Because the color of that didn't matter. It really didn't in the long run. And what mattered was the person. What mattered is that they were there, and that they were serving, and that they loved being a part of this thing. And it didn't matter. And so I had to start learning how to do that. And now, and here's the blue part of me, is that when somebody says to me, I want to help, what can I do? Call me, Uncle Sil. Call me. Middle of the night, I don't sleep anyway either, Jennifer. I know you're up at 3 a.m. I'm up at 3 a.m. I'm creative. Call me to help me. The blue in me is so worried about offending you, or calling on you, or being a hindrance to you, or being a bother or nuisance to you, that I'll just do it myself, and so I don't call you. But what does it do to you that wants to help? It makes you feel like I don't need you. But we do. So see how we have to constantly fight those things. So it's not that you're not needed. It's not that you're not wanted. It's that the blue in me goes, don't bother them. Don't bother them. Do it yourself. And the red in me is screaming, but you need help. You need help. And you walk around like a crazy person. So that's why we need to get this thing right. It's phenomenal. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do a couple more, and yeah. Thank you, Uncle Sil, for everything that you do. We're blessed to have you.
Well, I live in a house with 2 strong reds, blue, and a lazy green. So I'm the kind of person that if you can tell me 25 compliments, but the one negative thing I'm going to take, it's going to bug me. So sometimes when I cook dinner at home, my red here will tell me what I could have done better and then say how great it was. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so why did he say it was bad, but then he said it was great? So, it's just never says it's bad, but there's always something that could do better, sweetheart. Hush. I don't know. But, it's like... Thank you. See, there's the red.
I think this build-up guide's really going to be of service.
But for another example, yesterday we were pressure washing our driveway or our sidewalk, and I was over there doing my thing, and he was like, "You need to do it back and forth and not up and down." And I was like over there thinking, okay, that's the red in him. Just calm down, Blue, because I was about to lose it. And I know our neighbors think, why are they married? Because when we're working in the yard, we are constantly bickering about, I didn't mow it right, or I'm not doing it the way he wants to do it. So it's helped me in some ways know that that's just his personality and that he doesn't mean negative. He's just giving me professional criticism, as I call it at work. So, but it's very hard sometimes as a Blue, and I relate to Cole a lot. When he sits up there and talks, everything he's saying, I'm like, yes, that's me. I take everything people say negative, and I pick that one negative comment out. But I'm working on it, so that's my oorah moment, as they say. But I'm getting there.
Hey guys, my name's Paul, and my wife Crystal here. So yeah, I'm a very strong green and yellow. My wife's definitely red and blue. And
Isn't it amazing how God does that?
It's very cool learning about all this because we've been married now for 6 years, known each other 6.5 years, and just the way that we communicate and the way that. The more that we learn and the more that we interact now, it seems like I have experiences that I can go back and reflect on and, and start to change the way that I communicate with her. And it's almost like, what kind of frequency am I tuned into now? And is she saying things in a certain way? Am I going to have an offendable spirit about me? Or do I just need to realize that, you know what, I'm not perfect, even though I'm, peaceful and I like to go with the flow and a lot of things. I know that there's always things that I can do better. And in learning about a lot of the things that we're doing here, I can take it and be a better man to my wife, a better leader in the home. And I'm very excited when we do start having kids, because I'm going to be a better father to them as well. So.
I can say real quick too. So yes, I'm red and blue, and with him being green and yellow, I have to learn to relax. And we don't have kids, but going to the grocery store is just about the same. It's like there's balls throwing, so I have to be like, okay, it's okay to have a little fun, not to be so serious all the time. Remember to smile, because I'm nice. I just need to remember to show it. That's so. Yes, that's why we balance each other. That's why we balance each other, He's all smiles. I need to remember to smile.
Right. And it's so funny when she tries to smile and she doesn't want to smile because she's like, okay, yeah. We got to go. We got to be on time to our next appointment.
There you go.
All right. Yes, you can tell. Crystal can tell Shay wants to respond. Go for it.
Are you scared?
No.
No, the comment
I'm available
about
for
the
marital
dinner
counseling
is
on
not
Tuesdays. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the comment she's talking about a meal. It's not that it was bad. I just said next time we could do this, and it would maybe be better. I mean, what she did was good, but a couple more ingredients and do this, that, and the other, and we can make it better. It was constructive criticism. But what she said yesterday, just the fact that she's always wanting to do these home projects herself. She loves to cut grass, but I always say, why don't you cut grass in a pattern? She wears herself out. She crisscrosses the same area over and over again. That drives me nuts. So all I do is buy the gas and crank it up for her and let her go. She calls it exercise, and I say, thank you, the Lord. I'll go get gas for you all day long. But yesterday on the pressure washing, we were doing it like by squares on the sidewalk. Here I go. I think I did a pretty good job. We take a break. I go get something to drink. I come back out. She's over there where I was. I didn't do it good enough. So the blue came out. She had to go over it again because it wasn't done up to her standards. So a lot of times you just take a break and walk away, like you said. That way, bite your tongue, take a pause, whatever you called it. But you're right. Earlier, what you said, though, words are free, and they cost us a lot. But from you and a wife or a mother, stuff like that, whenever people are in a position of authority and you make that scowl or that frown, a look's worth 1,000 words. And everybody says, oh, she wasn't happy. Oh, that means this, that means that. You don't even have to say it. They, like you said, that'll make people back down and not even want to be involved.
All right. Oh, boy. My mom wants to say something. Hold on. You want to go real quick? Real quick. All right, Mom, go for it.
The only thing, I'm a red, and through life, people used to say I was unapproachable. I didn't understand what that meant. And also, the other thing is I was called the meanest person and yet the kindest. And actually, Anthony called me that. He used to say, Mom, your mom is the meanest person, but yet the kindest. I don't understand. So watch out, Reds, because that's a problem.
So that has to do with a face that I won't actually say. It's the expression that Reds have on their face a lot of times. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? It's the facial expression, the mean face that we have. And the pushing. How many Reds are not gentle? When you need to get somewhere, you just push somebody out of the way. It's like, move. You literally move people. You move them. Instead of, excuse me, it's move. And you do something. And that's what he means. And that's what I do is if I got to get through the kitchen, it's like, just move. And it's like, wow, why don't you just say, excuse me? It's like, because I'm in a hurry. I got to get things done. What do you have to do today? I don't know, but I've got 7 things on my list today. And it's that feeling. And yeah, and so that's that thing, and that's that feeling. And my mom is the most giving, kind, loving, gentle in her spirit, not necessarily in her actions. Right? And that's how I am. Go ahead, Cole, real quick. We're going to wrap it up.
I'm really thankful that y'all did this before I went to college because on my own is when I speak to myself the most. And my dad actually sent me a quote that said, "You will never speak to anyone more than you speak to yourself in your head. So be kind to yourself." And knowing that now and knowing that I'm a melancholic, I know that even if I walk into a room and I feel like everybody's talking to me, even if you're not, I'm talking to myself. And knowing that I'm about to be alone, and that's sometimes the most dangerous place you could be, depending on your train of thought. So knowing that I have to train my mind and knowing I have to walk in my strength and not my weakness, and know that instead of tearing myself down, I have to build myself up, and every second of the day. So
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Two quick things, guys. We're going to wrap this up. The revelation that I actually got, I got it. It's fine. The revelation that I got was actually going back to Cole's childhood. And I didn't know what a blue was. I had no clue. Had no clue, blue, red, yellow, green. That meant nothing to me. But I noticed as a child he was sad. And I thought, dude, you're 5. Why are you sad? You've got everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever asked for. Why are you sad? And I didn't understand. And now I later, since doing this series, I went back and apologized to him, because I remember when he had plans to spend the night with somebody, and all of a sudden it fell through, and he was just, it was over. It was the end of the world to him. And I remember quoting, saying, dude, it's not the end of the world. Big deal. You can't spend the night tonight. Son, you're going to make it. Well, choose to be happy, man. It's a choice. And that's my green and yellow speaking, but I had no idea. To him, it was the end of the world. Because blues feel things differently. When he heard he couldn't spend the night, he felt rejected. Well, they must not like me. Or maybe their mom and dad are mad at me. And literally, that just, to me, it floored me, because it took me, yeah, I got it now. He's 18, fixing to leave. Now I got it. But at the same time, that was revelation to me, because I didn't realize he felt that way. I had no idea. I mean, I looked at Jordan. I related to her because she's yellow, and it was like, oh, I couldn't spend the night. Oh well, we're going to have fun anyway. Because I wanted him to fit into my world. Listen, guys, here's the issue with all of it. We expect people to fit into our world, but they expect us to fit into their world. And we have to find common ground. We got to meet in the middle and be able to communicate with them as they communicate with us. Then guess what happens? Peace. Harmony. Come on, I'm preaching green right here, right? But there's peace and harmony when that happens. Take a step for just a second into their world and look how they look at things. And it'll change you from the inside out. Amen?
The reason I was giving him the bottom of that page is he told me that he wanted to, some of you were laughing like I was being a red and telling him what to do. You know,
it's the top of the section, the first one. Lighten up. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be careful to not use these colors as labels.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because as much as I don't like to be the mean red, I'm sure that Anthony doesn't like to be the lazy green, right? You know, yellows are great because they get to be the fun or the happy yellow, you know, but for some of it, let's make sure that we use this stuff properly and that we remember what it's for, is to learn to say words that are helpful and that benefit others. And in closing, I want to say that, first of all, I'm going to cry. Sorry. Sorry. Cole's easy. It's easy because he's me. And part of my tears is because what we have coming up this week. But my revelation was for Jordan this past weekend. Cole watched VeggieTales like every hour of the day as a child because he loves sitting in front of the TV and watching stuff. And Jordan is yellow, so she doesn't. She wants to go constantly. And she doesn't like to sit still, and she wants to be everywhere at all times, and she doesn't like to sit. And so she never watched VeggieTales, and I was like, how's she going to get the word? How's she going to get the word? How's she going to build her faith? Because VeggieTales taught Cole everything, and he knows the word like the back of his hand. And I think as a mom and as a minister and as a Christian mom, I should say, that maybe has always weighed on me a little bit. And she and I have always, she's a tough chick, Jordan is, and she's yellow and red. And so she and I have always because I traveled so much, Jordan has always been an older young person. And emotionally, she was always very cognizant of emotion to where she would know when I was leaving and traveling, and she would be able to shut down her emotion to guard herself from being sad when I would leave. And one day I remember laying in bed with her and saying, "Are you mad at me that I leave so much?" And I remember at like 5 or 6, her being able to have words enough to be able to decipher the difference. And she said, "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad that you leave." And so when I would come home from traveling and evangelizing and doing conferences, it would take her about a day and a half to warm up to me again and open her heart back up to me. And then I would leave 3 days later normally. So it took a day and a half to warm up to me, and then I would leave a day and a half later again. So we spent years doing that. So Jordan just always was very tough and never gave out hugs, never gave out love, and never gave out affection to me at all. Sorry. So a couple years back, she's always been very loving to her dad, very, very loving to her dad, physically, but not to me. And that always broke my heart because Cole will ask for hugs 50 times a day. And I was so heartbroken thinking, where am I going to get my hugs? Cole's going to school. You know, I can't go gadget arms that far, you know? And so a couple of years ago, God told me to start taking my hugs from Jordan. Just take them, he said. Just go take them. Just go take your hugs. She needs them and she wants them, just go take them. So I started doing exactly that. And I walked up to her one day and I went to hug her, and she pushed me away like she usually does, or tries to like make up some other reason why she needs to walk away from me. So I just grabbed her and I was like, "I know you want a hug. I know you want a hug." And she would say, "No, I don't." And I'd say, "I know you want one." And we kind of made a joke out of it, to where she would push me away, and then it got to where I was laughing and she would push me away, and then it kind of progressed into me chasing her around the house trying to get a hug. And it kind of broke down those walls to where she opened herself up again for me. And so we've grown closer over the years, physically. And then we got to this stupid study, and I find out she's yellow, and her needs are that her innate needs are that she needs approval, acceptance, attention, and affection. And I'm like, liars. All lies. And then I remember that God said, "Go take them. She needs them. And she needs them from you." And so I literally, from the pulpit that day that we were teaching it, I texted her and I said, "See, I told you need my hugs. I told you need my hugs." And so she sent me an emoji back or something. And so she hugs me all the time now. But she has a platform online that I keep trying to convince her that God's given her. And she keeps just trying to have fun with it. And every time God grows it, and it's a 15-year-old's platform. She's trying to find herself and trying to figure out who she is and what she is, and she's just having fun, and she has a following of about 1.5 million people on one side and 250,000 on another, and I don't even know what all she's famous for. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't even matter. I'm proud of her. And there are certain things that I would change about it if I could, and I'm letting her figure it out and find it out and whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is she's my girl. And when I was 15, I'm so thankful she doesn't know who I was when I was 15. Let's just put it that way. But I know who she is as a person. And I realized the other day when I was talking to her about using her platform to preach Jesus again. And she took the conversation like she always does, and she was excited about it. And then I kind of deflated it for her again. Because I took her conversation about that she had just hit 1.5 and her talking about the future with it. And I deflated it because I went from talking about the fun and the people that she's connecting with to talking about it being a task again. And I talked to her about the fact that she's got to get to the place where she uses that platform, and if God's given it to you, then you need to preach Jesus, and you need to change the world with it, and you need to do this with it, and you need to do that with it. And then I realized that no matter how much I make it a task, she will never see it as a task, because she's sanguine and she just wants to have fun and connect with people. And no matter how many times I make it a task, she'll just walk away like, you don't get it, Mom. And she doesn't get mad at me, but she wants to just do her thing. And I looked at Anthony the other day and I said, you know, this series has really helped me because I understand Jordan. I've been trying to figure out how I can get her to see that this platform is an opportunity for her to change the world with it. And God just showed me that you can't change her temperament. She just sees everything as people and fun. And she's 15. Why are you trying to assign to her to change the whole world with it? Why are you trying to assign a task to something as a 15-year-old? And then he reminded me that at the age of 40, I ran from that task myself because it was too much to bear. And I realized that sometimes as parents, we put on things that are so heavy with an expectation to change our children into things that they're not. And we take the shine that's on them and we dull it. In this study, in one of the videos, the question is asked to the creator, is there a combination of temperaments that's really difficult that you see in your office? And she said, yeah. Here's where they are. 2 reds with a green. 2 reds trying to tell their green child that they need to get up and do more, that they need to move faster, that they're not what they need to be. It'll crush the self-worth of a green every time. And the other one is 2 blues with a yellow, because they're constantly trying to tell the yellow to sit down, to stop shining, to calm down, to stop being so loud, to stop being so rambunctious. And I realized that I was dulling Jordan's shine because I didn't get it. And I don't know where you are today, but this series has done nothing more than to just help me to understand that sometimes we try to medicate people's temperaments by having a green in a home of chaos and craziness, and all they need is harmony and peace. And they're dealing with anxiety, and they just have a temperament that needs peace. And they live in a home with a bunch of reds who scream and yell like crazy people. And that green is dealing with anxiety because they live in an environment that doesn't allow peace and harmony. Sometimes we medicate temperaments. Sometimes we dull the shine off of our children. Sometimes we want to tell somebody that they're lazy when they just have a different gifting than we do. And sometimes we just want to fight against the giftings that God's placed inside of them, instead of taking the time to get to know them and to working with their natural bend that God gave them. I don't know where you are today, but I pray that we would continue this. If this were to remain as a study that we did as a small group, would anybody jump in and keep going if we were to do it? I'm thinking about possibly doing that, because I think that we've only scratched the surface to understanding and to getting good at the language. Because I don't know about you, I took Spanish for 2 years, and I may look Spanish, but I only know about 5 words. So that tells me this, and they're not words I can repeat here. So here's the thing. So that tells me this. It tells me that the best way to speak another language is to stay around it, to stay using it, to stay practicing it, to fumble over it for a while, and you get better at it. Don't put this stuff away and forget about it. Keep the sheets in front of you. Watch the videos. Practice it. Keep it in front of you and keep learning. Because the most important people in your life, they have needs that are different than yours. And for whatever reason, God has decided, like our family, to put blues and reds and yellows and greens, and then cause us all to somehow get along, and not only get along, but to love each other well. Let's end it with the very last Joyce Meyer quote, and we'll get done. We said it from the beginning, words are containers for power. We get to choose what kind of power they carry. Let's do the Edelman one right before it, guys, if you don't mind. The creator of this series says this: you have the opportunity every day with every person that you encounter to either hurt them or to help them. I pray that we would choose the words that would help, that would benefit them, that would encourage them, that would strengthen them, and that would not dull their shine. I love Jordan. I'm proud of you, baby. Let's bow our heads. Father, I thank you today. I thank you for everything that you teach us, in the ways that you teach us, because it's not just by your word on a page, but it's your words on a page that come alive to us in our daily lives, in our relationships, in the things that we encounter, in our experiences, in the ways that you bring those things to life right before our eyes. You enlighten us in ways that change us forever. And God, you showed us through these series not only for us to understand ourselves. God, so many of us here today, we literally feel more sane because you taught us that, God, we are literally hardwired to think the way we do. And we are so thankful to know that nothing's wrong with us. That we're not crazy, that we're not depressed. We literally just need to understand ourselves, and we need to monitor how we go about our lives. Lord, there are melancholics in this room today that literally started this series off feeling like something was wrong with them, that have literally testified that they now understand that when they are feeling down and depressed, that when they feel anxious and scared, that when the voices are in their head telling them that they're not enough, they understand what they need to do. To cast those thoughts down, to put better things in, to listen to different music, to take time away, to take solitude. Lord, you have taught us these things through this message. You've taught us not only about ourselves and how you've wired us and how we can make daily changes to work with our wiring so that we don't short circuit, but you've also taught us about one another so that we can help each other to be better and to be stronger, and that we can understand each other like never before. And God, that is so powerful and that is so awesome. And I pray, God, that we would give it to you. That, Lord, we would not only use this information to diagnose one another, to high-five each other over that knowledge, but that we would learn then how to fill each other's needs and how to speak accordingly to benefit one another. Lord, you're so good, and we're so thankful. Take every piece of this thing, seal it in our hearts, and teach us moving forward to stay in our strengths, to work on our weaknesses, and to be a builder of others. In Jesus' name we pray. In Jesus' name we pray.
Guys, I've got a take home for you, and I want you to remember this. Choose your words wisely, and then use your words wisely. Amen. We have a choice of what we say and how we say it. Because chances are what we say, somebody else heard something completely different than what we said. Amen. So that's the take home today. Choose your words wisely, then use your words wisely. Amen. Guys, how many of you enjoyed this series? Can you give the Lord a hand clap of praise? Amen.